Hi, this is Jay Davis with Power Numbers. Have you ever heard the saying, thoughts become things? Perhaps you're more familiar with Earl Nightingale's strangest secret. You are what you think about most of the time. Now these are very profound statements, but what exactly do they mean? Well, in a nutshell they mean that what you focus on becomes your reality. What I would like to discuss in this video, however, is what exactly determines that focus. This is an introduction into how we think and process information. More importantly, how the mind sifts through information and makes it available to you for action, or more likely inaction. Please keep this video in mind as you listen to subsequent videos in our learning series, or it might be very difficult to accept that information. You see, your brain is an amazing machine. Through your 5 senses, you literally take in millions of bits of information per second. A huge portion of this information is disregarded, with approximately 130 pieces of information making the cut. That information is then grouped into 5 to 9 chunks of information which can easily be analyzed and acted upon. How you respond to this information is based on your conscious and subconscious beliefs. But are your beliefs actually holding you back? You see, the reason your mind bounces your external stimulus against your beliefs is that it's always trying to reach something that we call homeostasis. The dictionary defines homeostasis as the tendency of a system, especially the physiological system of higher animals, to maintain internal stability, owing to the coordinated response of its parts to any situation or stimulus tending to disturb its normal condition or function. Now that's a mouthful, but basically, your mind is highly resistant to change and is quite lazy if you allow it to be. The mind does this to protect itself from being overwhelmed and overstressed. Just imagine if each and every time you heard, felt, tasted, smelled, or saw something new, you actually changed your mind and attempted to modify the entire belief system that you utilize to function on a day-to-day basis. I think we all agree that you would be classified as clinically insane. Mental homeostasis is really nothing more than the simple law of inertia, which can be defined as the natural tendency to resist changing one's current state. And although this tendency works to keep us sane, it can also inhibit our growth, development, and prosperity if it is surrendered to. Now I'm going to go slightly off track and look at a situation directly from the workplace. Many salespeople hold the belief that sales are simply a numbers game. This belief is a half-truth, although many people live by it. They misunderstand and therefore misinterpret and misuse the sales funnel principle and end up squandering precious time, energy, and resources. Sure, you have to get your message to the customer in order to sell your goods and services. But there are things that you can change in yourself that will allow you to sell a higher percentage of those customers. I have an extensive sales background which includes telephone sales, and you often hear in telephone sales it's just a numbers game, especially in their training. But what's unique about telephone sales is that literally you can speak to hundreds of people a day. But what's also unique about telephone sales is that you could literally place a monkey on the phone, and if it can convey somehow the message of what is being sold to the person on the other end, it is bound to find someone that needs what is being offered. Obviously, businesses don't put monkeys on the phone. But for the salesperson that holds firm to the belief that sales are simply a numbers game, they probably perform just as well. And this belief is definitely holding them back. You can identify these people because they give you every excuse under the sun for why they're not making sales. These leads are bad. People don't get paid until next week. This is the slow time of year. The guy next to me never shuts up. It's raining, the sky is falling. They'll pretty much say anything and everything to take the focus off the fact that they are doing a less than stellar job. Now, I'm not saying that cold calling is effective. In fact, I really don't endorse the effectiveness of cold calling at all. But I am going to focus on cold calls for a moment because it is a very good example for me to make my point. This same individual, let's call him Bob, could alter his belief and take responsibility for his lack of sales. Bob could change things like improve its pitch, power, pace, and tonality. Improve at building a rapport with the prospect. Brainstorm a better way to convey his message. Use a rebuttal strategy to get past the first no. Become more comfortable in asking for the sale. Or even make attempts at improving his overall attitude. Now, although it's true that your sales volume will be directly proportional to an extent to the volume of calls you make, if Bob focused on sales skills, he might stop making excuses for why people aren't buying and have to make excuses for why it's taking him so long to turn in his closed sales because he needs a personal assistant to handle all the paperwork. My point is, small changes in his mindset would improve what is probably the most ineffective sales strategy on the planet, and in that I mean cold calling. The truth in that should be easy enough to understand, so wherein lies our problem? Well, our real problem lies in the difficulty to convince any salesperson who has been indoctrinated into the mindset that sales is just a numbers game to pump the brakes a little, slow down on the volume of calls being made, and focus more on the quality of the calls being made. The fact is that most people just won't accept this change of mindset, regardless of how you deliver the message, or even how many real-life examples you can show them that their belief is actually flawed. In fact, right now, some of you who are dead set on the concept that your prospects and the volume of your prospects correlates to profits are resisting this very information as I speak. You see, homeostasis is about protecting your view of the world and how it relates to you. Mental homeostasis creates a feeling of comfort, making it very adverse to any significant changes. Now, no one is immune to this. You've probably experienced this in your own life when talking about religion or politics. These subjects in particular seem to hold very deep-rooted beliefs for many people, which is why they're taboo to speak on in certain situations. Now, these are also prime examples of ideas, concepts, and ideologies that were initially given to each of us, that most of us rarely ever question to the degree of creating our own independent ideas regarding them. When you challenge someone's belief, they often become childish. Sometimes they're suddenly able to rationalize the seemingly irrational. And I have to admit that I, from time to time, am not beyond this type of behavior. It's in my nature. In fact, it's in your nature. It's human nature. It's homeostasis. It's the inertia of our minds, the natural tendency to resist changing one's current state.